I must do this thing.
Do you remember that time Eminem got beat up and then sued for $1 million? Well, it all starts with this kid, Marshall. And Marshall's 9 years old, living in Michigan, and bro has a problem. The poor kid gets bullied a lot in school. I mean, he's only in the 4th grade, but he's getting kicked around like every day. Specifically, there's one kid who messes with him a lot. This kid, D'Angelo. D'Angelo's a little older, he's 11, he's in the 6th grade, but he is much bigger than Marshall. And Marshall, admittedly, has a big mouth. So D'Angelo and his boys, they whoop up on him all the time. And this goes on for months. But one day, in 1982, they give it to him real bad. Because it's winter, and it's snowy out, and they're all outside. And the bullies, they see Marshall across the yard. And D'Angelo, I guess he puts like a rock or something hard into a snowball, and he aims it at Marshall, and he throws it as hard as he can. And pow, it hits him, and it knocks him to the ground. Then the bullies all jump him, and they beat him over and over and over again. And eventually, Marshall stops moving. He's blacked out. And D'Angelo and his boys, they're like, oh shit! And they don't want to get in trouble, so they all run away. Later, Marshall gets sent home because he's hurt. And there, he isn't feeling so well. He's losing his vision in one eye, and his ear starts bleeding. So his mom, or someone, takes him to the hospital. And at the hospital, they determine that he has a cerebral concussion, and for the next 5 days, he apparently goes in and out of consciousness. Well, lucky for Marshall, he eventually recovers, but he's never the same. According to his mom, as a result of all this bullying, not only was he physically injured, but he started exhibiting antisocial behavior and acting out. In fact, she's so upset by the damage this has done to him, she goes and files a lawsuit against the school district, claiming that they neglected to protect her son from harm while he was in their care. But unfortunately for her, the lawsuit is eventually thrown out on the grounds that the school district has like government immunity or something, and they can't be sued in this case. But whatever, they all eventually move on. So fast forward many years, and it's now the late 80s, and Marshall's a teenager, and he gets really into hip-hop and rapping, and he decides, I want to be a rapper. And over the next decade, he starts freestyling and writing songs and competing in rap battles, and he does this for years. He even puts out an album.
So, let me get this right there. You are saying those bully beats him up. They literally beat him up to be successful. Because this is Eminem. Assuming that they did not bully him, he shouldn't be rapping. Right? Assuming they did not beat him up, he will not be rapping. He will not be singing. Okay. Let's continue.
And then, one night in 1997, his whole life changes because he's 25 years old now, and he competes in a rap battle competition called the Rap Olympics.
I'm moving in for the kill, and I got the trap set. I can tell you whack, and I ain't even hear you rap yet.
And he actually does really well. In fact, he does so well, he gets second place. Here's the thing though, in the audience that night is an intern for Interscope Records, and this intern really likes what he hears. So after the show, he goes up to Marshall and he's like, hey, you're great, do you have like a demo or something you can give me? And Marshall, he's still all salty because he came in second place and not first, and he's like, yeah, sure, here, whatever. And he gives him an EP, a literal cassette tape of some of his songs, called the Slim Shady EP. Not the Slim Shady LP, the Slim Shady EP. It only has a few songs on it. And that intern eventually passes that tape on to his boss at Interscope. The boss at Interscope loves it, and he passes it on to famous rapper-producer Dr. Dre. And this leads to Marshall getting signed to Interscope Records as Eminem. Then, about a year after that, in 1999, his next album, the Slim Shady LP, drops, and it immediately blows the fuck up. and so does he. And very quickly, he becomes one of the biggest, if not the biggest, rapper in the world. Now, one of his songs on the Slim Shady LP is called Brain Damage, and that song is about the times when he was 9 years old and he would get jumped by D'Angelo and his boys. And in the lyrics, he describes some of it, and he specifically calls out D'Angelo by name. Now, I can't play it for you because of copyright, but I could rap it for you.
Way before my baby daughter Haley, I was harassed daily by this fat kid named D'Angelo Bailey. He banged my head against the urinal till he broke my nose, soaked my clothes in blood, and he grabbed me and choked my throat. Made it home later that same day, started reading a comic, and everything became gray. I couldn't even see what I was trying to read. I went deaf and my left ear started to bleed.
Anyway, that's not all of it, but that's some of it. Here's the thing though, Marshall is so popular now that he's doing all kinds of press and interviews, and he ends up doing an interview with Rolling Stone. And they ask him about his song Brain Damage and if it's true. And he says, of course, yeah, most of it is. Then the Rolling Stone also finds D'Angelo and they reach out to him to get his side of the story. And so D'Angelo, now he's older. He's married with kids, he's working as like a janitor, and he apparently also wants to start a rap career. And so Rolling Stone asks him about the song Brain Damage, and he admits that, yeah, it's true.
Yeah, we flipped him right on his head at recess. When we didn't see him moving, we took off running. We lied and said he slipped on the ice. Hey, do you have his phone number?
Those are his exact words. And
Hey, do you have his phone number? Got me, bro. Crazy. What the fuck? He just admitted that he did, and he still asks for his phone number. What?
anyways, 2 years later, it's now 2001. And for some reason, I guess D'Angelo sees all this success Marshall's been having, and he starts getting dollar signs in his eyes. He wants some of that Eminem money. And so he goes and he gets a lawyer and he files a lawsuit. And he sues him over the song Brain Damage. He accuses Marshall of slander and invasion of privacy for calling him out by name in the song. And in the complaint, he specifically cites the song lyrics. And so he claims that the song is not only hurting his reputation, but it's preventing him from starting his own rap career. And because of this, he's suing for $1 million. Here's the thing though, not only are the song lyrics protected by free speech, D'Angelo had already confirmed that what happened in the song was true 2 years before when he did the Rolling Stone interview. So of course, the judge, she ain't buying it. She knows this case is bullshit. So she rules on it. And she literally writes her opinion into the form of a rap. And I'm not making this up. In her order, this is what she wrote. Mr. Bailey complains that his rep is trash, so he's seeking compensation in the form of cash. Bailey thinks he's entitled to some monetary gain because Eminem used his name in vain. The lyrics are stories no one would take as fact. They're an exaggeration of a childish act. It is therefore this court's ultimate position that Eminem is entitled to summary disposition.
No. That's fire. That's fire. That's fire. See, this judge is a legend.
But that's not even the whole thing, that's just some of it. The whole order is actually pretty long, so I'm not gonna do the whole thing. However, I think it's pretty safe to say, judge got bars. So anyway, the judge dismisses the case, partly on the grounds that D'Angelo admitted in the Rolling Stone interview that he used to bully Marshall, and partly because the case is just fucking stupid. And so Marshall won that battle, and as you already know, he ultimately goes on to have an incredibly successful rap career.
Big shout out big shout out to Eminem. We love your song. We love you. I don't know what to say, but keep doing what you're doing. I'm your biggest fan. Let me check the next one though.
Remember when this Hollywood actor almost started an international
I've never watched this guy movie before. Which movie have I watched? What's the name of the movie? I've forgotten, but I know that I watched this guy movie before. I've forgotten the name of the movie.
conflict? Now, his name is Seth Rogen, and you know who Seth Rogen is. He's been acting and producing for a long time. Well, one day in the late 2000s, he and his buddy are chilling, goofing around, probably smoking some of that Zaza, and they're talking about how TV journalists always interview dictators. And one of them makes a joke about how it would be funny if, during the middle of an interview, a journalist just, blam, assassinated the dictator right there. Now, Seth's friend isn't just a regular friend. He's actually his writing-producing partner, Evan Goldberg. So Seth and Evan are talking about this, and they're like, oh shit, let's make a comedy movie about that. And so, boom, they and another writer write a script about this concept, and they submit it to executives at Sony, and Sony execs give them a green light, along with one major note. They say, yeah, this idea is funny and all, but your story is about a fictional dictator. Why not make it about a real dictator? And so Seth and Evan changed the script, and it eventually becomes a story about North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un. And so in 2013, they make this Kim Jong-un comedy movie. It's called The Interview. And Seth is in it, James Franco's in it, Randall Park plays Kim Jong-un, and of course, the premise is a bumbling talk show host is assigned by the CIA to get an interview with Kim Jong-un, and during the interview, he has to assassinate him. And of course, the movie makes Kim Jong look really goofy, while also highlighting some of the ridiculous myths that he claims about himself. Like, he claims that he always plays a perfect round of golf. He claims that he invented the hamburger. He claims that he can talk to dolphins. He claims that he doesn't have an anus because he doesn't need one, because he doesn't even have to go to the bathroom at all, because his body is a perfect machine that doesn't...
That was a lot. That was definitely a lot. Damn.
create waste. It's all absurd. And so anyway, some of these myths they reference in the movie, which just ends up making Kim Jong look like a huge dork.
Do you do karaoke? Yes, I do, Dave.
And of course, in the end of the movie, he ends up getting blown up and dying. Spoiler alert. Anyway, so they shoot this comedy movie, and Seth and Evan direct it, and they're all prepared to release it. And in 2014, they drop the trailer for the world to see, and they start getting a little buzz around their movie. However, not everyone is thrilled with the idea of the interview. Apparently, the North Korean government sees this trailer, which means Kim Jong-un himself would have seen this trailer. Now, here's the thing about dictators. They always present themselves as like strong men who are so powerful and confident. However, when you start making jokes about them, they tend to flip out and turn into like a weak little crybaby. I mean, these clowns will execute people over like a punchline. So I imagine Kim Jong-un saw this trailer and he got his feelings all hurt and like he's upset. I mean, how could someone make a comedy movie making fun of him, the supreme leader, the man with the perfect body and no anus? Okay, but then 2 weeks after the trailer drops, a representative of North Korea sends a letter to the UN calling out this American comedy movie that insulted their supreme leader. And that rep says that to allow such a film to be made is, and I'm not making this up, an act of war, and that they want the U.S. to ban the production and distribution of the movie, otherwise the U.S. is basically sponsoring terrorism. Not only that, a few days after that, North Korean state TV releases a statement from their government threatening that there will be stern and merciless retaliation against the United States if that movie is released. And so yeah, Kim Jong-un and North Korea are pissed, and the movie isn't isn't even out yet.
North Korea says the United States is on the verge of committing an act of war.
And so then Seth and Evan are summoned to meet up with the heads of Sony in their offices. And they acknowledge that North Korea is pissed. And they're like, look, in the movie, you exploded Kim Jong-un's head in a really graphic way. And so over the next couple of months, the studio asks them to make changes to that death scene, to tone it down a little, and maybe make it a bit less graphic. Thinking, yeah, maybe these changes will ease the tensions with North Korea. But, unfortunately, they don't ease shit. They don't ease tensions at all. And so then, Sony execs get nervous, and they decide to delay the release of the movie for about 2 months, thinking, yeah, maybe things will cool down. Until... Oh, but things don't cool down. Not long after that announcement, one day, Sony Entertainment, their employees go to work, just like any other normal day, and they go to log in to their work computers, and instead of their normal desktop, boom, there's a creepy red skeleton appearing on the screen, along with the words, hacked by GOP. Sony has been hacked. A group of anonymous hackers who call themselves the Guardians of Peace have hacked into the computer networks of Sony. And these guys got access to everything. Internal emails, internal data, employee records, employee phone numbers, addresses, and social security numbers. They get access to several Sony movies that hadn't even been released yet. And then...
Imagine me hacking Sony and having access to their movies. Bro, I'm a billionaire, bro. I don't blow. Like I'm gone. Like, damn. Should I hack Netflix? I'm not saying hack do. I'm just imagining it. Like, as me, I hack Netflix now. Then I will just steal some of their movie and tell them I'm gonna put this movie online unless you give me $1 million. That's a nice idea, though. Let's continue, though.
And kaboom! These hackers release all of it to the internet for anyone to see. They got all their employees' private information, all their internal communications, some unreleased movies that are just now out there for free for anyone to watch, which causes Sony to lose millions in revenue. Allegedly, they lost around $200 million over this hack. And funny enough, these hackers specifically want Sony to stop the release of Seth's movie, The Interview. And they want any mention of it removed from the internet, somehow, as if Sony controls the entire internet. Now, the North Korean government claims that they have nothing to do with Guardians of Peace or these Sony hacks. However, the broad consensus is that, yeah, they're lying, they're behind the whole thing. Anyway, about 2 weeks later, the Guardians of Peace hack Sony again. This time they claim that they'll stop if Sony agrees not to release the movie making Kim Jong-un look bad. Oh, but it gets worse because a week after that, they threaten a terrorist attack on the movie theater in New York where the movie is premiering. Plus, they say that they'll attack any theater that shows the movie. So yeah, now it's getting serious. And so, bam, Seth and James Franco cancel all their publicity appearances. And Sony hires personal security to follow them around because now they're under a serious threat. While Sony, they pull all television advertising for the movie. And shortly after that, several major theater chains announced that they will no longer screen the film as they are now worried about a terror threat. And so Sony has no other choice. They have to cancel the wide theatrical release of the movie altogether. And so the fate of this comedy movie that Seth and Evan worked so hard on is left hanging in the balance. And if that isn't crazy enough, the fucking president of the United States gives a press conference and he has to make a statement on it.
Sony's a corporation, suffered significant damage. There were threats against its employees.
And so basically, he says that he understands why Sony canceled the theatrical release because, you know, their employees were threatened. But he also says that he thinks Sony made a mistake.
We cannot have a society in which some dictator someplace can start imposing censorship here in the United States. Imagine what they start doing when they see a documentary that they don't like, or news reports that they don't like.
So then, after the president's speech, execs at Sony decide to change their mind and they reverse course again. And that they are going to figure out a way to release the movie in theaters. And at the last minute, they get the movie a limited time release in about 300 independent theaters in the US, and they get it wide theatrical release in the UK. And so Seth and Evan's movie is saved. And the hackers, they go away, they don't do anything else. No one was hurt, no one died, and Kim Jong-un went back to his normal life of being a dictator with apparently no anus. Remember when...
Having no anus is crazy. Seriously, you need to check yourself.
It's crazy to say, within the last 2 months, we've built over 7 million followers between Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and Facebook. In this video, I'm going to share with you 3 tips on how you can build your own personal brand as well. Tip number 1, start today. I wish I would have started at 17, bro. Whatever it is that you're good at, push it now, bro. I used to think that I had to go to the NFL to make millions of dollars or have like a PhD. No, bro, hear me out. I have no certification. I have no...
One thing about all these people, one thing about these people, they think it's easy. Because now you just have the fame, you have the money. Yeah, I can give a fucking advice. It's not easy, bro. Do you think everybody's like you? Do you think everybody have the same money that you guys have? A lot of people are suffering. A lot. And a lot of people have talent. A lot of people want to do something, but you don't have the connection or the money. Me doing what I'm doing now. You just know now what they done. I supposed to do the dumb since, but it was money. I was not having any fucking money. I want to be streaming. I want to be a streamer. I want to be streaming. I want to be on Twitch. I want to be streaming anywhere, but I don't have the money to get the things I need for my stream. I don't have the money to pay skit makers to tell them to announce the day I want to do my stream. You think it's easy? It's not easy. So don't just come online and say, hey, I wish I started at 17, bro. Yes. I should have been doing this at 17, bro. I beg. All these people, seriously. You guys need help. You need help. You can't just come online and be saying all this stuff because you know that you have made it. You want to be advising someone just to get your own big.
No college degree. I wasn't the smartest person out there. Wasn't the best speaker, and I certainly...
My network is bad. You know my phone. So I'm not finished yet. I said I'll finish. This is another day on my Instagram. Peace, we are out.